If we're ready, I will move on to my final team, the Flyers. The two obvious ones with NMCs is Giroux and Hayes. Then I decided to protect Konecky, Couturier, Laughton, Oscar Lindblom, and Nolan Patrick to round up the forwards. And then for defense, Provorov, Myers, and Sanheim. And another obvious goalie pick, you have to go with Carter Hart.
I mean, Jakub Voracek being exposed is, the cap hit being so big and he's 31 years old, I understand it, but boy, that's.
And as far as defending that pick, I will, and I think I did in the group chat already, but just to say it for everyone else here, it's a calculated gamble. I realize that he's part of their core, that he's a high-paid player, and that you probably should want to protect him. But his skill set in that team currently, there's enough young guys that have the same skill set as him that I feel like you can take that gamble, that if they do decide to take him, that they have enough guys to fill that spot.
Well, also a bunch more cap space once that happens.
And that was the other half of it, is the fact that it's that big of a contract.
So then, Tyler, who would you replace him with?
Very quickly here.
Okay, if you're going to throw that out there, then
that's true. I mean, I guess it'd have to be Konecky. Same position. They're both right.
No, I know Konecky had a rough season, but if you're protecting Voracek, it's going to be Laughton. That's going to be the odd man out, in my opinion. But it's very fun to see someone like a Jakub Voracek, let alone a James Van Riemsdyk, available for Seattle to take. That's. You got, who would you take out of those two, honestly, if you're Seattle?
Voracek.
You've got Voracek.
If he's, like I said, I saw him exposed, like he's taken for sure.
He's 8.25 signed until 2024, or James Van Riemsdyk at 7, so 1.25 less for 1 year less.
I'm actually taking someone else.
Let me, before you go, Kev. So Voracek is 1 year younger than JVR. I feel like he has more upside. He's a right winger, and the playmaking ability that he could show and give towards a young player, player X that is that's been taken by Seattle, who is a sniper, could learn a lot from him and be a beneficial part within that growing that identity that Seattle wants to bring. Over at JVR. JVR, all he does is stand in front of the net, and he's good on the power play because he can tip the puck, and I believe that's it. But I'm curious on what or who Kev would take over top of those two guys.
I would take Shea Gotzer, sir.
I was about to say Ghost Bear.
I just think that's he hasn't worked in Philly. I totally understand that, but there was potential there, and I think with you look at the coach and the coach has worked with him before. I think that there's a relationship there. I think that he can get the most out of that. But the Flyers overall, they're like the Flames. They need a major shakeup in that organization. That is an organization with a bunch of rust on there too. But there is some interesting players on there that I would take.
I honestly do think that. Even if you have Voracek and Van Riemsdyk, it's going to be tough to pass up whoever of the defensemen that Philadelphia exposes, whether it's Gostisbehere or Philip Myers, because I think those are the two. You're protecting Provorov, you're protecting Sanheim. I think that's no brainers, and then you have to make a decision on the next one, and whoever is exposed there, I think it's going to be very, very tough for Ron Francis and Dave Hackstall to pass up either a Gostisbehere over a Philip Myers.
Oh, Philip Myers, he is a player. He came out. He's come onto the scene within the past year, and he's shown his worth. Sorry, Flames fans, including myself and Kevin, that he walked on to the Flames camp, and the Flames didn't want him. He's a big, huge defenseman, but he can play, and he's shown that he can play. The Flames walked on him, and he's shown that he can he can play with in the NHL. He's only 24 years old. He's a right shot defenseman, which are hard to find. So you know what? If I'm the brass in Philadelphia, I'm protecting Myers over Gostisbehere. And Gostisbehere, he's shown that he has struggled even outside of his inaugural season within the NHL. So Kevin, that's a good point on your part there.
All right,
so
Chris.
I'll just jump in and say that if there was a hot take that I had for a team, it probably was Philly as far as like going with your non-conventional picks. So I definitely took more of a calculated gamble with them than any other team. But I feel like there was enough promise from those young guys that it was worth taking that gamble.